Elijah was a proud man, proud of his heritage, proud of Baltimore. And proud of America. He always appealed to our better angels and to the promise of America, calling us to live up to our principles and for a higher purpose.
Welcome back. That was Speaker Nancy Pelosi during the memorial service Friday for Congressman Elijah Cummings. We are joined once again by Congresswoman Donna Shalala. Let's take a moment. We talked before about the divisions in our country. Let's talk about Elijah Cummings, a man who often was able to bridge many of those divisions.
He was, and they tell the story during the riots in Baltimore, how he would do his work in Congress and then go home to Baltimore and walk the streets and talk about we can be better. We can do better. Nancy Pelosi was born and raised in Baltimore. Her father and her brother were mayors of Baltimore. So for her, this is very, very personal. And I think for all of us that knew Elijah Cummings, he was a man of enormous integrity. He was the moral core of our caucus. It's a huge loss for Baltimore, for our country, and for all of us that knew and loved him.
Yeah, President Clinton, President Obama spoke at the memorial service on
Hillary Clinton spoke
Hillary
too.
Clinton spoke. Joe Biden was there. I mean, it was very well attended. You know, I have to note that this is third, major memorial service we've had in the last couple of years. George H.W. Bush, President H.W. Bush passed away. We had John McCain's death. In all of these cases, normally you would see the President of the United States, the current president, speaking. We haven't seen that. Now, in some cases, they did not want him to attend, but that also speaks to how divided we are as a country.
And his role in dividing the country. In the case of Elijah Cummings, he, of course, said terrible things about Baltimore and about Elijah Cummings in particular. So I'm sure he was not welcome, and he did not invite himself. But, the president's supposed to bring us together, not tear us apart. Whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, the president is supposed to bring us together.
So let's talk about what Congress is doing. Are things getting done? We spent the first segment talking about impeachment. But are things getting done in Congress? Can we expect anything to be accomplished? I know the House has passed a number of measures, I think more than 200, that are waiting in the Senate. I will tell you, I've spoken to Marco Rubio. He says the Republican Senate has passed things, sent it to the House, and they've died there. Can there be anything that gets accomplished while we're in this impeachment proceeding time?
We should be able to do it, and at the minimum, we should be able to do the budget. We should be able to do the appropriations. We have sent all the appropriations bills over to the Senate. They have not acted on one of them. Not on one of them. They're now negotiating to see whether we can get the defense authorization bill. We cannot leave our troops in some kind of danger because we can't get together. We've been able to get bipartisan appropriations bills. That's what we sent over, and they have not acted. But we've sent over big bills.
Well, I was going to say that. Let's talk about something that does seem to have bipartisan support, prescription drug medicine, trying to do reforms in that area. I know this is an area that you've worked on. Where does that stand right now?
Well, the President of the United States, during his campaign, said we should negotiate directly with the drug companies. There's no reason why we pay higher fees for our drugs than England and France and Australia and Canada and Norway and Denmark. I mean, it just makes no sense. So we took him at his word and have now passed the bills through 2 committees that would allow the Secretary of Health and Human Services to negotiate directly with the drug companies. The Congressional Budget Office that does the numbers has said that we'll save over $500 billion for taxpayers, most of it out of the pocket of people directly, if we negotiate directly. We're ready to go. We have not heard from the president, though he hasn't said no yet. But this is his bill. It's what he said. We've taken him at his word. And the Democrats are very anxious to move forward. The Republicans are complaining again about process. Forget about process. It's a solid bill that will save millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars for Americans, and would be much more fair than the current system.
I want real quick. I just want to note before moving on, we're in the sign-up period for the Affordable Care Act.
And for Medicare.
And for Medicare, if you want to go, we'll put up on our screen healthcare.gov and Medicare.gov. If you want to sign up, if you need to sign up, you can go. Now is the time to do it. We're in the enrollment period now.
Miami has the largest enrollment in the Affordable Care Act of any congressional district in this country. We want to keep our record, and people should go and sign up again.
So let's stay on health care for just a second. If the Democrats nominate someone who champions Medicare for all, including doing away with private insurance, will the Democrats be consigning the country to another 4 years of Donald Trump? Can a Democrat win if their policy is to obliterate private health insurance?
I think it depends on all their other policies. I'll support the Democratic candidate, even though I'll hold my nose for their position on Medicare for all, because I think it's unreasonable to tell people, and not right to tell people, we'll take away their private health insurance.
No, for unions in particular, negotiating health care and health care support is part of your compensation package. Suddenly, if you lose that, you throw a lot of union contracts for teachers, for others, all into disarray.
It's both the left and the right that supports protecting private health insurance. I think the candidates got out ahead because of Bernie Sanders, got out ahead of the issue before they actually went out and asked people. If they ask people in my community, they want to keep private health insurance if they have good private health insurance.
As an option, if they can keep it. And if you want to buy into the Medicaid system, they should be able to, or
but,
Medicare system.
Whoever the presidential candidate is, if they have that position, many of us will sit down and tell them that we'll support them, but we'll fight like mad to help people protect their private health insurance.
I want to turn to Syria just for a second. I know we've got a sound clip of the president speaking this week about Syria. Let's go ahead and play that.
We have done things that everybody said couldn't be done. Today's announcement validates our course of action with Turkey that only a couple of weeks ago was scorned. And now people are saying, wow, what a great outcome. Congratulations. It's too early to me to be congratulated.
Although he congratulated himself, sort of, there. Was the president proven right? Did he do good here by pulling our troops out of Syria and having a ceasefire?
Look, none of us want these continuous wars. But when you're talking about a place like Syria, where we had a handful of troops, they were critical, working with the Kurds, our supporters, for a very long period of time, fighting against ISIS. To pull them out quickly because another country calls you, Turkey called and said to the president, we want to invade Syria, basically invade Syria, and push the Kurds away. This is a human tragedy. The Kurds were our friends. The Kurds stood beside Americans, soldiers, and fought like mad to drive ISIS out of Syria. And the president has handed parts of Syria, large parts that belong to the Kurds, over to, not only did he hand them over to the Turks, but he handed them over to the Russians.
The Russians have now actually moved into some of the bases we used to occupy. Russian flags now fly over those bases.
It's, he's giving away the store.
All right, I got 30 seconds, but I want you to just react to this. I'm going to put you back in your old frame as UM president. U.S. News and World Report now ranks UM as 57th in the country. It was a lot higher when you were there. UM football is a disaster. Any chance you want to go back to UM?
No.
Why did UM drop, you think?
I actually haven't looked at the numbers to figure that out, but I'm sure that the current leadership of UM is working very hard to move them back up.
I got to cut you off there. You're not going to give me a real answer on that. That's fine. We'll be right back after the break.